Pope Francis has arrived in Baghdad, becoming the first pope ever to visit Iraq. The trip is happening despite escalating violence, rising COVID cases, and international concerns. Senior foreign correspondent Ian Pannell is there, and he joins me now with more. Ian, good morning. Why was Pope Francis so adamant about taking this trip?
I mean, this is something actually that he and his predecessors have wanted to do for decades. It was actually Pope St. John Paul II who wanted to come to Iraq in the first place. This was back in 1999. He never made his pilgrimage to the country, but Pope Francis has been adamant this is something he wants to do. This is his first trip since the pandemic erupted around the globe. There are a number of reasons why he wants to make this trip. Firstly, because Iraq features largely, Iraq or Mesopotamia, largely in the Bible. This is the, in some people's eyes, the birthplace of Christianity, because this is where Abraham or Ibrahim was apparently born, and the Pope is going to visit that site down in Ur in the south of the country. But he also wants to bring a message of healing and reconciliation, and goodness, that's something that Iraqis definitely want to hear and are definitely in need of. But yet, of course, there are huge concerns about his personal safety. A lot of people have been against this trip, partly because of the pandemic. That is, the numbers are picking up, certainly down in the south in Baghdad, less so up here in the north. And people have said, well, look, if you hold mass or you go to a church, that is potentially a super spreader event. But the Vatican's been insistent that they put security precautions in place. But the other concerns, of course, are his own personal safety. ISIS is still very much active here. ISIS, remember, said, we will go to Rome, we will occupy Rome. They have set their stores against the Christian community here. We've been talking to people, tens of thousands of them have been driven from the country who've suffered unimaginable things. So he wants to bring that message of healing. You have ISIS, you have the increased tensions between Iran and America, but he has been adamant that he wants to bring this message. And like I say, I think it's something Iraqis really want to hear. It's a rare bit of good news in a country that, unfortunately, we associate with so much bad. Diane?
And so, Ian, what's on his agenda while he's there?
So, as I say, he's going to go, first of all, to this church in Baghdad that was the site of a terrible, terrible suicide bombing. Over 50 worshippers were killed in that particular attack. It was one of the first early attacks by ISIS in the country. So he's going to visit that site. Of course, he's going to have political meetings with the president. He's already met the prime minister, the diplomatic community. He's then going to go down to Ur, to Ur, down in the south. It's one of these ancient sites with some stunning buildings. In a normal world, it'd be on people's tourist agenda to try and go and visit it. It's the birthplace, apparently, of Abraham or Ibrahim. He's the patriarch of Christianity, of Judaism, and of Islam. So he'll visit that site. But interestingly, he's also going to meet Grand Ayatollah Ali Sistani. Now, he is probably the leading Shiite cleric in the country, one of the most influential Shiite clerics around the world. He is someone who's going to sit down and meet with the Pope. He's 90 years old, but he is so influential in this country. And seeing someone who is a figurehead for Shia Islam meeting together with the man who represents Christianity, I think is an astonishing image. It shows how much progress has been made and how much could be made in this country. Then he comes up here to the north. He's going to Mosul. He's going to the churches that ISIS took over. ISIS religious police were based inside some of these buildings. Like I say, it's where they swore that they'd go to Rome. They desecrated these churches. We've seen many of them. They used them as target ranges. They destroyed some of the ancient artifacts, and many of those churches were badly damaged by the bombing during the war. He's then going to go to another beleaguered Christian community, and then he's going to come here to Erbil and hold Mass on Sunday. The only really large-scale event. It's an open-air Mass. They say there will be social distancing. We'll see whether or not that's true. But, you see the posters around. Security is incredibly tight. Whole areas have been sealed off because of those concerns. But I think a lot of people are going to be watching this. And just to show you how it's captured the nation, is being carried live on Iraqi TV right now. Diane?
So, Ian, how significant is this visit to Iraq's Christian population, but also just the general message of religious unity and peace among other religions?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, this is a much needed shot in the arm for the Christian community. It used to number around 1.5 to 2 million inside the country. There's been a Christian population in Iraq since the 2nd century, one of the oldest Christian populations in the world. Today, that number from 1.5 million is down to somewhere around 2 to 250,000. Now, that's happened over a longer period of time, but certainly it all happened in the 20th century, pretty much over 2 decades. The community was increasingly targeted, in particular after the US-led invasion. It kind of lifted some of the protection that the Christian community enjoyed in Iraq, and it laid them open to attacks, in particular by increasingly radical groups, Al-Qaeda and ISIS amongst them. And like I say, a lot of the community being driven out of the country. A lot of them are now living in the US and elsewhere around the world. And the communities here feel really beleaguered. I mean, the towns that we visited, when ISIS came, everybody left. A town of 50,000 people completely abandoned. Those who were stayed behind, and we've been talking to them, they were brutally treated by ISIS. We met this really sweet elderly couple, a brother and sister. ISIS took their money, took their jewelry, took all their possessions, and then threw them into the river to watch them drown. And this elderly man, 73 years old, having to try and save his 86-year-old big sister. Tragic tales, and those are repeated again and again. So yes, the Christian community really wants this kind of support. They say they've never had so much attention from the government, but I think other communities as well, trying to bridge that sectarian divide, the Yazidi community as well, a lot of work, a lot of prayers to be done here.
All right, Ian Pannell in Iraq. Ian, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.